Hi, my name is Cindy Rang with the Fabric Patch in Ephrata, Washington. You can find us at fabricpatch.net, and we are going to do block number 3 of our Westport block of the month. Okay, so this is actually our 4th class because I think the first time we talked about gathering all of your fabrics, getting your pattern together, and then we've done block number 1, block number 2, this is block number 3. Just remind you, this is the pattern that we have, and this is if you're making the king size, this is if you're making the twin size. Really the only difference is the number of blocks you're going to make because the blocks that we're going through are all the same. And just as a little reminder, this is the sheet that we've been using, so this shows all of the blocks, and they talk about color number 1, color number 8, color number 9. If you've went ahead and gathered fabrics from your stash and you're doing it kind of scrappy, you'll just want to know what fabric you're going to select for today. So today we are going to do block number 3. And I think if you're doing the twin size, you need to make 2 of them. And I think if you're doing the king size, I think you need to make 3. And so let's go ahead and take a quick peek at what we have. Okay, so we'll be following along with your little pattern, and it's going to talk to you about cutting your strips of fabric, and once you've cut your background fabric, you're going to cut that into 3 different pieces. And I just want to show you something. I am making mine kind of scrappy, and if you look at this up close, I don't know if you can tell, this is actually the right side of this fabric, but that was a little bright for me in terms of what I am using, and so I'm actually going to use the wrong side. To me, that little tone-on-tone pattern is a little bit more subtle, so you can always make that choice if you want to, if you think that the other side of the fabric is more appropriate. So that's what I've done here. The second piece, and they are talking about fabric number 8, you're just going to cut into little rectangles, and then fabric number 11, little rectangles. Super, super simple to put together because all it's going to be is this little Whirligig block. So what you want to do is these go with these, and what you're going to do is lay this down, draw a line, and sew on that line. You're going to do the same thing with this. You're going to lay this down, draw a line, and sew on that line. Now, probably the easiest way to go ahead and draw that line is just to take your ruler to line this up so that you're right at the point here. This is right along this edge, and that's going to give you that perfect 45-degree angle. You can use either a water erase, an air erase, or I tend to like the iron off marker. Whichever will work for you. Draw that little line. As long as you're coming right to that point, you're just going to line that up, and I'm going to sew right on that line. And then this one, you want to go the opposite direction. So I've gone this way, and it'll show you in the pattern what you're doing. I'm going to do that same thing. Draw that line. Now I'm going to go to the sewing machine, and I'm going to sew right on that line, and I'll be right back. Okay, so this is sewn right on the line, and then we can cut this part off. Some people like to go ahead and save these and make some teeny tiny little half square triangles. I am not that person. This is garbage for me. Do the same thing here. I'm just going to cut off my little, and then I'm going to press these 2 open, and when I press them open, because I'm using a friction marker, that line is coming off. So here's those 2. They've been trimmed and pressed. Here is that 3rd piece that we cut. We're going to sew those 3 together, and they'll end up looking just like this. And we need to make 4 of these units. Okay, here's my 4 blocks. So you can see I've sewn this one together and pressed it. Then I'll sew these 2 together and sew these units together. And I just want to point out, you can see that how this is spinning, one is angled one way and one is angled the other way. if something happened and you got a little bit mixed up and they're both going one way, it's totally not going to matter. No one's going to notice it. You might notice it, but no one else will. So keep going. Don't go crazy and rip anything out. Just go ahead and get all 4 of these blocks sewn together. Okay, I've moved this over a little so you can see the block that we're talking about, and you'll see if you've purchased the kit from us or your local quilt shop, these are the colors that are included in the quilt and the colors that are pictured on the pattern. These are my little scrappy colors. And I just want to mention there's one more step with this block, and I talked about this in block number 1 and block number 2, and I'll mention it each time. The last step is to do a block sashing, and she tells you to cut these strips to put around the block. And I have mentioned to go ahead and cut those just a tiny bit bigger. The reason for that is because if something weird happened and this block is just a little bit smaller than it should be, you don't really have any other option to make that block bigger, but you do with this. So make it just a tiny bit bigger, and you'll see that for each of these, and again, if I open this up a little bit more, you'll be able to see that each of these blocks has this little block sashing, so it makes it look like the blocks are floating. And so if this is a little bit bigger or this is a little bit bigger, no one will really notice, and it's your best opportunity to fix any strange little piecing mistakes that we might have made along the way. All right, so this was block number 3, and in 2 weeks we're going to do block number 4. Thank you for watching our video. We invite you to leave a comment, hit the like button, or better yet, subscribe to our channel so you never miss an episode. You can also visit our Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, or Pinterest pages, or find all of those things and our online store at fabricpatch.net.